For the tier 3?
For the tier 3.
Mm-hmm.
We'll accept the 2,000 for the tier 2, but we are countering with Gardendale at 5,000. We did look into FRS eligibility, and according to Florida statute 121.021, paragraph 47, it does not qualify for, it's not retirement eligible. It is a bonus, and it means a payment in addition to an employee's regular salary. A bonus is non-recurring, and this is 1 year only. Does not increase the employee's rate of pay, and does not includes no commitment for payment in a subsequent year. And that's this. So it's 1 year only, so it is not FRS eligible. And that is 121.021, paragraph 47, or section 47.
And the collaborative committee?
So we will agree to sit down and have a conversation about this, how the priority schools are selected so that you can have input into that process. I will facilitate the committee, and we will use the directors that are included in the, I think it's called the BSI. Is that what it is? BSI that facilitates the priority school process.
All right, and I hope you wouldn't object to us delving into the concept more and the research, and is this the most effective way to do it? Is it a certain amount? Is it a certain school? Is it so you wouldn't object to it being more than just the selection of the schools, although of course we want to be involved in that as well.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so just to reiterate, you've as far as our counter, you've agreed to 3,000 for tier 3, 2,000 for tier 2. You're asking us to consider 5,000 for Gardendale?
Yes.
And you believe it's not an FRS eligible supplement, and you've agreed to the committee?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll discuss that in caucus.
The mentor process, again, we cannot agree to more teachers. We've added 2 specifically for additional peer mentor support across the district. We have increased the resource teachers at the priority school, so we believe that there's mentoring coming in at that point as well. We will, so I do have some figures so we know what costs we're talking about. And we only have 1 year. I can't go back past a year because I don't have the time and the people to do it. So we only have 1 year of data, but it's pretty accurate. And if we went back and looked at some of our data in previous years, because we have talked about the lead mentor supplement a lot, I could probably go back a couple of years and find those notes. But most recently, this past year, we had 79 lead mentor teachers. We had 176 teachers that had 1 mentee, and we had 165 teachers that had 2 or more mentees. If what you proposed, the 1,200 and the 660 and the 1,200, would cost, first of all, we would only agree to 2 years, not 3. So that's the first thing. So I only costed out 2 years.
Does that line up with the increases in the ARP supplements, 2 more years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, the ARP money is gone. So this is money we would have to find. And when we're talking about money issues, because the last 2 things we're sitting here with are this and salary. And so I'm not suggesting this is going to be paid for through ARP ESSER at all. That's not what I'm suggesting, because those monies are overspent. And we, when we budgeted things, they, there have been a couple that have been underspent, but there's been more that have been overspent. So we are lining it up with that, but I'm not suggesting it would be coming from our budget. But we would agree to 2 years. And again, all this money is, we're talking money issues now, so we have to decide how much, there's a finite amount of money. We've talked about that, a finite amount. We keep going back and we keep if we were to go with the 1,200 and 660, it's a cost of 306,000 in 1 year and plus some change, so to 612, 613 if we went for 2 years, and that's before print. So we would counter with the 1,000 for the lead mentor, 500 for for one mentee, and 1,000 for 2 or more mentees. It would be for 2 years, and it would be, so that cost for 2 years would be $459,000. That is contingent upon us resolving the salary issue, because again, we've got a finite amount of money. So that's our counter for that.
All right, well, I would just like to state for the record that there's nothing that would prevent you from going into that ARP grant and making an amendment. You guys are allowed to make amendments. You've made amendments before. It is a district priority to retain teachers. We know that mentor teachers help retain teachers, so it would be it would fit nicely in the goals of that grant. So what I know is there's no reason why that grant can be can't be amended to include this relatively small cost.
And that may be true, but who's going to give up something that they have worked hard to get approved?
We could, if you want us to figure that out, we can figure that out.
I didn't know you had any funds that were tied to
no, but
BFT's
we could give you some suggestions.
Yeah,
but I mean, I just want to go back to, this, you're saying retention is a district priority. I don't think you're disagreeing that mentors help with retention, and that this supplement is very, very low. So I just have a tough time accepting that it's got to come out of the salary offer.
So here's what we have a.
Let me just say this. You guys, when you brought the original proposal, I don't ever remember seeing that in ARP. So that must have been an amendment.
The original proposal is not being paid for by ARP.
Well, most of it was. You had said only, I think, $1 million of it was being paid for.
The original proposal for what?
For your recruitment and retention bonus.
No, I did?
I
don't
yes.
think that's part of ARP. It might be part of ARP, but it's not a whole segment of ARP. It's more from the fund balance, the bottom line for a year. I don't recall saying it was from ARP, but a
yes.
portion of it maybe.
You did say, you said ESSER, but I believe it's ARP. I think you said about $900,000 was from the district's general fund balance, and $2 million was from ESSER or ARP.
Salary, is that where we are?
Yes.
Any more questions on the mentor?
Kyle, did you have any questions or?
No, I have something for copies. I don't have anything.
Okay. You have a question?
I just also want to say that this money doesn't necessarily have to come out of the salary offer when we're sitting on a huge fund balance. And again, I think it can go out without saying, but that would be $459,000 would be a drop in the bucket in the amount that we're sitting on.
And I have those notes here before. We have gone over the things about the fund balance and why we keep it. And I know that the concern, I know your contention as we've been through this, at what point do we use it? But one storm could wipe us out, could wipe out that fund balance. And so,
I think, I don't know that we carry insurance on all of our buildings, so I don't necessarily agree with you that one storm could wipe all of that
all
out.
of it.
But
Deductibles
also,
and
here, listen, if we don't have teachers in our buildings to teach students, I think the teacher shortage and the crisis that we're in is going to wipe out all of our schools. The buildings will be there, but there won't actually be people teaching children. So, I think that's just not an acceptable answer.
So our counter to your last proposal, and I have heard over and over again that you're not interested in looking at the tiered adjustment, so we're looking at our last proposal where there was a flat adjustment. It's our last proposal, and the flat adjustment was $1,000 starting at year 6. It was a highly effective pay for performance at $1,347 and a grandfathered and effective amount of $1,010. Are we on the same proposal?
So it's a BPS to BFT July 12th.
On the flat adjustment.
And you're-
We would be, we would offer to take that tiered increase to $1,040 in each of those segments. That would bring the largest increase for employees on the grandfathered schedule to $2,050. Keep in mind, there's been a couple of districts that have settled recently. I know most recently Polk settled and got their salary up to, I think, $40.75 maybe, and a 2.25% increase. This has a minimum base salary of $48,508. We think it is a pretty substantial offer. It takes the out-of-pocket costs for this offer to $4,977,899.
What was that number again?
$4,977,899.
Okay, so just to reiterate, so you're adding $40 into the tiered increase on the flat adjustment side. So you said the highest increase for grandfathered would be $2,050, but those on the performance scale would be $2,387.
47. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I apologize.
Okay, and then
If they qualify for the tiered increase.
and then we know if everyone 0 to 5 would they're all on minimum pay, they would get $1,642 plus their pay for performance.
No, 1,642 is the number of FTE in 0 to 5 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So what would they?
They get their pay for performance if they have a summative.
They would just
2.
get their pay for performance. Thank you.
If they have a summative 2.
And so how did the minimum end up being 48? Now, what did you say the minimum would be? Would that increase $40 too, or is it still 48?
No, the minimum is still the minimum, because we did not change pay for performance.
Okay, so
We changed the tiered increase. And reminder, this is 1 year that we can do those tiers, that aren't calculated into the 25% difference between pay for performance and grandfather.
So in your example, everyone six years and up would be receiving the same raise, except if they're on grandfathered or pay for performance.
The same tiered increase.
Okay. Any questions on the team? All right, so we're gonna need to caucus. So all right, out 20 minutes. So
Can you text me though? We'll
Yes.
plan on 20, but
Yes.
will you text me just to confirm?